Hi, my name is Roberta McGillivray. I'm the CEO and second generation of BGE Indoor Air Quality Solutions. I've been around this business since I was a young child, and growing up, I had a lot of allergies myself, and so indoor air quality was really important to our family as we were growing up. So today we're going to be talking about what are the tips that you should be thinking about when you want to bring in clean air into your home. The first thing we should be thinking about when we want to bring clean air into our home is making sure that we have good ventilation throughout our home. So whether that's the fan on your furnace, making sure that it's pulling in outdoor air as much as possible. We also want to make sure we use things like our cooking ventilation fan or the ventilation fans in our bathrooms, making sure that there's a good movement and circulation of air. So in Canada, we're really lucky. Compared to the rest of the world, we have a pretty good base level of clean air outside in our environment. But there are certain times of the years that we need to be really mindful about the air quality around us. That could be during forest fire seasons, that could be in the springtime as things are growing and there's lots of pollen being generated. You really have to think about where are you situated. Are you in a high-rise building in the middle of downtown where there's lots of car traffic? Or are you close to an industrial park that might be generating a lot of particulate from the different manufacturing processes they're doing? So while the base level in Canada is clean, you really do have to look at what's happening around you. The next thing you should be looking at is your filter. The filter is used to protect the equipment, such as your furnace, and to protect your house from, reducing dust, but your filter is also there to protect you and your family. It is filtering as air comes indoors into your home, but it's also filtering as you're recirculating your air throughout your home. So as you're looking to change the filter in your furnace and you go to your local hardware store, there are a few shelves of many different types of filters, and it can be a little overwhelming to decide which filter that you should be using for your home. We'll start with maybe the most basic filter that you might see. This is what they call, this is the technical term, a cheap throwaway fiberglass filter, and it truly is a cheap throwaway fiberglass filter. One of the things you want to make sure is that your filters are going to stop what you're trying to prevent from coming into your house. And if you look at this and you look through it, you can actually see my face. So this is probably not something we'd be recommending when you're trying to protect the people and those with, say, chronic lung issues. You can move up to higher quality fiberglass, which will do a much better job. In our industry, we talk about a standard called MERV, which is the minimum efficiency reporting value. And that is a number. It can range anywhere from 5 to 16, and it talks about and it can tell you how efficient these filters are on stopping specific size particulate matter. Usually it should be on the label if it has been tested to that. And so there will be a label on the filter that will talk about the size and talk about the product, but it will also talk about the MERV efficiency. If they don't have it put on their label, you can always go to their website and see if they've done a comparison from their rating to the MERV standard. I get a lot of questions in terms of, should I put a HEPA filter in my home, which might be a MERV 16 or higher. When we get to that level, it could actually do a lot of damage to your fan and to your system because it's not been built for that. So what you should be looking at in your home is anywhere from a MERV 8 to a MERV 13. Because MERV 13 is a level of filtration that can stop viruses. And obviously we've been talking a lot about viruses in the last year. So when you get to MERV 13, it gets to a level of 85% efficient at stopping that size of virus particle in your system. As you move up in efficiency, you're going to see that you're going to move to a pleated filter. It might not hold as much particulate, but in your residential environment, you might not have as heavy particulate as, say, as a commercial building or an industrial facility. So you get a lot more surface area on these filters. And the pleated filters are the ones that move up higher in the efficiency. Like we talked about, they can come in MERV 8, MERV 10, MERV 11, MERV 13, different efficiencies. So you have a lot of choices. So you can see that these filters have different depths. We have one here that's a 1-inch, and we have one that is, I think, probably almost a 5-inch filter. We always believe that if you can get as much depth in your system to hold a 4 or 5-inch filter, you're going to get a lot more surface area that is filtering that air coming into your home. So right here I have it, this would be the same pleat pack that would go in a 1-inch filter or a 4-inch filter. And what you can see when you pull this apart, you only get this much surface area. But when you have a 4-inch filter, look at how much filtration surface area you get. So here we are down in my furnace room. Here is my furnace, and it's a small high efficiency furnace, and right beside it what you can see is my filter that I've pulled out. You can see that we've got this ductwork that's bringing air from outside and from our return air grills, and it's coming down into the filter, being filtered through to protect the equipment of the furnace, but then also for that clean air to get circulated throughout the house. My home is a very old home. It was time to replace the furnace, and what I asked the mechanical contractor to do was to give me as much space as possible between the ductwork and between the furnace, which gives me way more surface area for my filter. The filter can last longer. Also, with that extra surface area, it has a lower resistance to airflow, so my fan doesn't have to work as hard. If you have the opportunity to get more space for your filter beside your furnace, you can ask for or order one of these metal filter housing boxes. And they're designed to hold standard size filters. And the really great thing of them is they have an access door that has gasketing on it, that when you close that door, that gasketing will create a really tight fit for that filter so that we can prevent any bypass from going around the filter. The really important thing is you want to make sure that this filter is as tight and as snug as possible. So when I slide this in, there will be a little bit of resistance to really make sure that it fits in all the way. It even gets a little tight on the edges. I have a nice access door, which is going to put pressure on the filter when I close it in. But if you don't have that, there are some do-it-yourself tips that you can use. When you first install the filter, check the color of the filter. Most pleated filters are a nice bright white. If there's a lot of dirt that is bridging between the pleats, it also means that it's time to change that filter, because now your air is going through that dirt and it's creating more resistance to airflow. Your filter, if you don't change it, can be the biggest cost of energy for your furnace. So make sure you check it monthly, and a good rule of thumb is probably every 3 to 6 months, depending on what's getting generated in your house. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different sizes of filters, and the hardware stores can only hold so many sizes. They carry the most common sizes. So if you do have a special size, make sure you reach out to a local filter manufacturer, and they can help you get that specific size. Sometimes you don't have control over the furnace because you might be renting out a suite, or maybe you're in an apartment building that doesn't have forced air systems. And so you can augment your filtration by getting a room air cleaner. What a room air cleaner will do is it will increase the ventilation and increase filtration in a specific space. There are many of these out on the market. It's important to do your research and understand the size of the room that you're trying to filter. You also want to make sure that you are changing the filters inside these systems as much as possible. These can be good on viruses. They can also be really helpful in pollen season or in forest fire seasons. They can be anywhere from $400 to $1,000 to $2,000. So if that's not an option, there's a lot of do-it-yourself projects on the internet where you take a normal box fan and you can just tape on a filter beside it. So the filters that we put on this box fan is MERV 13. So similar to what I talked about before, because this is a very heavy-duty fan, it can handle that, and it can stop the virus-sized particles that we've been talking about. So 85% efficient on PM 2.5. I think this would be a great option for an office or a bedroom or a small living room. We also have to be careful about the pollution that we create ourselves inside our home. So whether it's from ourselves, if we have pets, our children, cooking can be a huge cause of high levels of particulate and TVOCs that can be very aggravating to those with chronic lung disease. Even things like candles or aromatherapy, household cleaners, room deodorizers, all of those have the size of particulate that is below that PM 2.5, which can be really aggravating to the lungs. So what we're gonna do here today is we're gonna light this candle and we're gonna put it beside one of our indoor air quality monitors. So here we are, we're looking at the data, and what you can see is there's been a real spike in terms of the PM 2.5, especially when we're getting smoke generated from the candle. Another thing I learned that can cause pollution inside the home that I learned just a couple years ago is your room humidifiers. So if we think when we have a cold and we're having trouble breathing, we're really congested, we might put a humidifier on to help with creating more humidity. But often, especially here in Edmonton, we have a lot of hard minerals in our water, and that can actually cause a lot of additional particulate that can be very harmful and aggravating. I think it's important that on an annual basis you're having someone come and check on your furnace to make sure everything's working properly, such as the belts, the fan, the motor, and also all the connection points that will ignite for combustion. That's really important. So I'd say on an annual basis. When it comes to duct cleaning, I have mine serviced by a local provider, and they say every 4 years is when they should come and clean the ductwork. However, if you've done any renovations to your space, especially when we talk about taking down walls and building them up with drywall and all the dust that's generated with that, you should always clean your ducts immediately after you've renovated. It's really important, especially during this virus and flu season, to make sure that you're running your furnace fan continuously. It makes sure that you're pulling in as much outdoor air into your space and getting that circulated through. It also improves the level of comfort that you don't have the fan oscillating on and off, which changes the temperature of your home so quickly. And to supplement that, open your doors and windows when you can. That will just increase the level of outdoor air that you're bringing and just improve your ventilation rate as much as possible. We've spent a lot of time today talking about air filtration and indoor air quality and what are the things that you can do to improve clean air inside your home. This can be a little daunting, a little overwhelming, and we've been in the business for over 50 years and have been passionate about this. So if you want to get more information about this, we will put a link on our website, bgecleanair.com/betterbreathers, and we'll put all of this information that we've spoken about today. We'll also list our contact information, so you can feel free to reach out to one of our customer service representatives who will be happy to help you with any questions you have.